What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the New York Knicks MyLeague in NBA 2K16. Today we're wrapping up the season, and we're actually doing a live comm. Haven't done one of these in a while, and I actually don't believe I've ever done one for this series, but figured this would be easier. I could get this video out more easily. Sorry for no background music. I'm kind of rushing to put this video together to have it out for you guys in time. So we're going to sim this final game of the season. So I'm going to show you the standings beforehand because this final game actually has a little bit of meaning to it. So I'll show you right now. There are potentially 4 teams that could finish the season with the same record. If both us and Indiana lost our final games and Philadelphia and Cleveland won, we would all be tied with 49 and 32 records. So that would bring up some interesting seeding possibilities. That also puts the division in question because I actually think Philadelphia will win the division if we lose this final game. But as you can see, Brooklyn is 20 and 61, and they are our final opponent of the season. So I don't know exactly how that'll work, or this final game will work anyway. But Philadelphia went 12 and 4 in the division, and I'm pretty sure they go by divisional record. They might go by conference record, but even if they do, we've been way better against the West this year than the East. It was about 20 and 10 against the East. 20 and 10 against the West, excuse me, and we were 29 and 22 against the East, which doesn't bode the greatest for our playoff chances unless we can get into the finals, but I'll get into that when I go over team stats. But yeah, so this is we're going to sim this final game with Simcast. I doubt that it's going to be any real whoops, I didn't want to do that. It's not really going to be a difficult game to get through, but so let's just sim through it, and we'll see if it's very close. We've taken the lead in the first quarter. We have taken an even bigger lead. We have continued to keep this lead. It's pretty much a blowout at this point, it looks like. Yeah, we'll go by fastest. All right, we won by, well, they made a little bit of a comeback, but we won by 12. So we have at least the 3rd seed under lock, it looks like, maybe even the 2nd. So Kevin Durant is your MVP, still in the Thunder, and Rookie of the Year is Nando Catanella. I think he was like the first pick in this last draft, so that would make sense. He's also the 6th man of the year. All right. Defensive Player of the Year is Anthony Davis. The Pelicans are taking home hardware. Most Improved is Dinwiddie, but this award is pretty bad. And Byron Scott is your NBA Coach of the Year. I'm sure that a lot of you are going to have a field day with that one. So Lillard was the first team guard along with Emmanuel Mudiay. He actually finished 2nd in MVP voting as well. Durant, Davis, and Karl Towns. James Harden, Josh Jackson, Melo made the 2nd team for like the 3rd year in a row, I believe, at this point. I think it's 2nd team All NBA, 17, 18, 19, yeah. So he actually finished like 3rd in the league in scoring. I'll show you guys that in a second. Blake Griffin and Marc Gasol, De'Aaron Fox, Steph Curry, Kristaps Porzingis, LaMarcus, and Nikola Vucevic were 3rd team. I don't know why LaMarcus Aldridge doesn't have a picture on the Spurs. Defensive first team: Smith, Bledsoe, Davis, Ibaka, and DeAndre. Butler, Wall, Giles, LeBron, and Karl Towns. First team, that's that, and that's the 2nd team. So we got the 2nd seed, and we'll be taking on the Boston Celtics. So we actually took on the Boston Celtics in the first year of this, and I don't believe they made the playoffs since. So let's look at the standings. So it looks like we actually got the 2nd seed over Indiana. Looks like everyone won their final game of the season, and then the bottom shaked out like this. I was kind of hoping that we either got to play the Celtics or the Magic, because we played the Bulls, I think, 3 years in a row in the playoffs in some round. So Milwaukee down there. That's all the standings. I don't think we have any of these people's picks, so I don't really think it matters. We might have one pick. No, I don't believe we do. So that's how that shaked out. This is the playoff tree. I'm going to show you guys. You can come back to that later at the end of the video. Durant led the league in scoring. Melo was 4th, right ahead of Lillard, who finished at 25.5 points per game. His assist total was 1st in the league. Very surprised in the end that he didn't win Rookie of the Year, or not Rookie of the Year, MVP, but, you know, it doesn't really factor in team overperformance. So steals, he was 4th. Blocks, we don't have anybody, I don't believe, up here. Yeah, Thonmaker is all the way down at 15. He actually was one of the leading rebounders, though. Yeah, Porzingis had a really good year. He was the 4th in the league in rebounding, and Thonmaker was 6th. I already looked at that. So we can look at player stats individually now. Lillard, Porzingis, over 20 points a game. Gabe Green had a kind of down shooting year, but he chipped in 16 a game with 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. So Grant, stats kind of went down a little bit at the end of the year, but not too terribly much. He was averaging about 14 and 7 most of the year anyway. Thon Maker, 13 and 11 with 2 blocks. DeMarre Carroll, almost 10 points a game. Seth Curry, we signed, I believe I said this, but we signed him at the end of the season toward the end of the season anyway, because Jaren Grant got hurt, but then we didn't end up playing the game that I thought we were going to play, so I actually really didn't end up needing him. Iman Shumpert, it was kind of the same situation. McDaniels is hurt, so Shumpert might get some of his minutes. Ed Davis, 4 and 5 a game, so that's pretty solid from him. And Jeremy Grant, he kind of struggled. And the rest of these guys are just roster filler. So rebounds, we'll look at the leaders there. Porzingis with 12, Maker with 11, Davis and Carroll with 5.3 apiece, and then Green and Lillard were almost 4. Lillard with 9.4 assists, Jaren Grant with 6.7. Shumpert had 4 in like 2 games, and these guys kind of filled this out. Steals, that's what that looks like. Blocks. We'll look at shooting percentage. So ignoring these top few guys, Thon Maker shot 52%. Ed Davis shot 48%. Porzingis shot 46%, so not bad from him. Lillard with 44%. Grant also shot 44%. DeMarre Carroll shot 44%. Gabe Green shot 42%. I'm rounding up, by the way, or up or down based on the last number. So KJ McDaniel shot 42%. Jeremy Grant shot 31%, and then these guys were all roster fillers. 3-point percentage, we were kind of down compared to last year, I believe. DeMarre Carroll made 39% of his attempts, so I'm hoping that comes through in the playoffs. Porzingis with 39% as well. Lillard with 36%, so not bad. Jaren Grant at 35%. McDaniels at 35%. Gabe Green had a kind of down year. He shot 33%. Went through a sophomore slump, but I'm hoping he comes back even better next year. Jeremy Grant 32%. So we're trying and shield him as much as possible, though. So and then free throw percentage, Green, Lillard, Porzingis, all over 83%, which is pretty shocking. So, and then these other Jaren Grant was pretty good. DeMarre Carroll 76, Thon Maker 73, which for a big is pretty good. And then the rest of these guys really hit or miss. Like Ed Davis was 49%. So minutes per game. This is pretty much how our rotation looked throughout the year. This isn't really a reliable metric, but opponent field goal percentage. It looks like DeMarre Carroll is actually a pretty effective defender. So is KJ, Thon Maker, Jaren Grant, Ed Davis, Damian Lillard. Guys were all under 50, so I'm pretty happy about that. And our plus minus per game, Thon Maker plus 3.7 points per game, so that's nice. Looks like all of our starting lineup was positive except for DeMarre, but he was on the Hawks for most of the year, so I'm not super surprised by that. Let's check team stats, and then we'll be on our way out of here. We finished with the 5th best record in the league, 3rd in the East after actually tied for 3rd best in the league, but also 3rd in the East. The Pistons had a really good year. We had the 5th best offense, but we had the 15. We had a really average defense. We had the 15th worst defense, so I think that would be like the 16th best defense. So, yeah, kind of middle of the pack. And I've always said you need not I've always said, but the old saying goes you need a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense to win a title. We are 8th in points differential, though, so I'm hoping that might come through. We shot 45% in the year, which would be tied for 9th. I think this is the most threes we've ever made, and we made 9 threes a game, and that's 5th in the entire league. And we shot just about league average, 35%, 36%, so that's 13th. Yeah, it was pretty much average. Our free throw percentage was 4th. Our offensive rebounding percentage was 2nd, so that's actually really good. It looks like our defensive rebounding percentage was pretty much average. Yeah, it's kind of like right in the middle. Overall rebounds per game, we were 7th, so that's nice. Assists per game, looks like middle of the pack again. Yeah. Steals per game, I'm imagining we're going to be pretty low on this. Yeah, we were the 8th, well, 3, 4, it's like the 10th. Yeah, the 10th worst in terms of steals, but we had the 4th most blocks as usual. We had the 10th most turnovers. That's not a very good sign. Our fouls were kind of middle of the pack. We'll go by second chance points. We were 6th, probably a lot of offensive rebounds. 3rd in points in the paint. This is usually a stat where we're like top 5, top 10, so I'm pretty happy about our finish this year. Bench point percentage, we're very low. Our bench was kind of weak this year compared to normal years, but I think moving Jaren Grant back to the bench actually really helped that out. Opponent field goal percentage, we had the 2nd worst opponent field goal percentage in the league, which is very strange. But it might be kind of an anomaly. And we also had like the 10th lowest defense, 3-point percentage allowed. So I don't know how the Nuggets won as many points as they did, letting opponents shoot 38%. That's ridiculous. But yeah, so not the most confident about our chances going into the playoffs. We were the 3rd seed, in year 1, and we lost in the 2nd round, but we didn't have home court over the Miami Heat, who went on to win the title. So I don't believe, had the 2nd seed in this. I think we had the 1st seed each of the last 2 years in the playoffs. But we are the 2nd seed this year. We're taking on Boston. I'm pretty confident in our chances of beating Boston, and probably Orlando, I'd imagine, will come out of the 2nd round. Or not Orlando. If Orlando comes out of the 2nd round, I'd be pretty confident in our abilities there. But Indiana, we do have a tortured history with. We did sweep them 2 years ago, but we lost to them in 5 games. 5 games last year. Had to be 5. No, it would be 6 games. Yeah, 6 games, because we were on the road in Indiana and we had home court. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. Out west is pretty interesting. The Lakers are the 1st seed. They're taking on Sacramento, Houston and OKC, Denver and Phoenix, Golden State and Dallas. So a lot of newer teams in there, like Denver and Phoenix. And Houston taking on OKC is very interesting. Harden and taking on Westbrook and Durant and all those guys. Detroit, Chicago might be interesting. Chicago's not a bad 8th seed. Philadelphia and Cleveland, that should probably be a rollover, I imagine, for Cleveland, who always seems to underachieve, but they do have 2 very good players. I actually think that they only have those 2, though. I don't think, they don't have Paul Millsap anymore. So, they do have Paul Millsap. He's just injured. So, and Kevin Love's on the Hawks. So, all right, I did ramble for a little bit, but I think this is kind of the format for these types of videos going forward. So, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy, and we will see you next time where we will start the playoffs. So, thanks for watching. See you then.